Yes, we're live. Just
Live
wait for a
across
couple.
all the pages, right?
We're live everywhere. Just waiting for a few people to join us, so we begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of Sapna Rise. I'm Natasha Doshi, and today we have somebody extremely special with us. We have Swami Mukundananda. Swamiji has been a world spiritual teacher and an expert on mind management. He has graduated from IIT and IIM, and yet he quit his corporate world to learn the spiritual scripts of India. Swamiji, welcome to today's episode, and we are honored to share the knowledge with you.
Namaste,
Swami Nijesh Shah
Natasha.
with us.
Namaste to Nijesh as well, and to the Sapna Book House team. It's my pleasure to join you all for this live session. I'm really looking forward to connecting with all your viewers.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Namaste,
Let me
Swamiji.
introduce.
It's a pleasure to have you on with us on the show. And we've had a lot of personalities, a lot of authors who have come to the show. But while we were reading your book, we realized that what you write, and when we also looked up about you on the internet and what people feel about you and think about you, is far higher than the rest of them. So we were absolutely privileged to have you, Swamiji, in our show.
Well, Nidesh, that is the kindness of people. I personally see myself as one insignificant little soul in this vast creation of God.
That's very humble of you, Swamiji. So we've done some offline promotions, and I would like to tell you that we've received so many questions from all our viewers and customers who walked into the stores. I'll probably take up those questions towards the end of the session, but let me quickly jump to the topic of today's discussion. We're here to talk about your new book, The Seven Divine Laws to Awaken Your Best Self. So, Swamiji, how did you come to these laws? You know, there are seven different laws that you've spoken about. How did these ideas come to you?
Yes, Natasha, the desire to grow is intrinsic to all of us. And we see growth happening in nature. Pressure is applied on mud, and the carbon converts over billions of years into diamonds. So, ordinary mud transforms into diamonds. In a smaller time frame, we see that grass grows from the earth. It is grazed by cows and transformed into milk. The milk is extracted from the body of the cow and changed into yogurt. The yogurt is from it is extracted butter, and butter transforms into ghee, which is offered on the altar of God. But this material transformation is not the primary purpose of creation. The primary purpose is to grow and evolve us souls from our present mortal imperfection to immortal perfection. Swami Vivekananda put it so well when he said these prophets were not unique. They were human as you and I, and they had attained super consciousness. And you and I can do the same. The very fact that one person achieved that state indicates that all of us can do so. And that ultimately is religion. The purpose of the great religious traditions of the world is the same, to bring us to the supreme perfection, to be God like. Now, although the desire to grow is intrinsic to all of us, not so many people achieve success in their efforts. And the reason for this is lack of awareness of the laws of life. So we know about physical laws that we study in chemistry and in physics in school. We are not surprised when water is heated and at 100 degrees centigrade it transforms into steam, because we know it is adhering to a physical law. However, what people don't realize is that there are laws related to the human experience as well. And knowledge of these laws can enable us to make our lives a success. So, in this book, I have introduced people to 7 laws which I feel covers a major portion of the spectrum of human experience, which can provide them with the keys they are looking for. Very briefly, the first law states the law of infinite potential. No matter what our present state may be, we all have potential for infinite growth. We must have faith, hope, and optimism. Then, once we aspire to progress, the second law comes in, and this is the law of incremental growth. It states that you don't jump from being a failure to a success in one big leap. The only way to reach the ultimate destination is by taking little delta steps. Now, these delta steps require willpower. They require self discipline to make the proper choices. And willpower is a limited power. So, the second law is the law of incremental growth. And then the third law introduces us to why power. When you have a strong reason, a strong belief, it empowers you beyond the tiny willpower. So, beliefs play such an important role in our lives. And hence, the third law is the law of beliefs. However, one of the biggest and most relevant beliefs in our life will be in connection to where we believe happiness lies. Because our whole life will veer in that direction. If we think happiness lies in wrong places, our life will become wretched. And if we understand the true means for being happy by improving ourselves from within, then we will shoot forward in the right direction. So, the fourth law is the law of happiness. And in that, I have concluded that the real way to be happy is not by increasing external possessions, but by improving yourself from the inside. It is so simple. Now, when you wish to improve yourself from the inside, you realize I need to improve my mind and my thoughts. And people struggle with the thoughts. Negative thinking, how do I overcome it? And they wish to stop those negative thoughts. So, the fifth law, the law of sublimation, says don't struggle. Don't stop the thinking process. You divert your thinking process in the right direction, in the direction of the divine. The divine is all pure. When you attach your mind to the pure, your mind will become sacred, holy, and noble. So, this is the fifth law, the law of sublimation. When we wish to attach our mind to the supreme, which is bhakti. Now, everybody is doing bhakti. They are all going to temples and mosques and churches, etc. But for what? To ask God for material things. But that is not love. Love is not about getting, love is about giving. So the sixth then is the law of love. How to discover the true love that our heart has been yearning for since eternity. And then to put it all together, we will need a mentor, a guide who can help us in this journey. So the final law is the law of mentorship. So, Natasha, very briefly, this is what is the theme of the book.
Swamiji, I
In fact,
personally love.
no, it's
Go ahead.
wonderfully explained the laws of the book, and what my next question would be is, how what is the kind of message you want to put forward when it comes to these laws? Because you have described the laws in the book. There should be some message you either want to put out to certain sections of society, be it the youngsters, or be it the elders, or be it the whole society as a whole. So, in brief, can you help us understand the message that the morale you want to put across from the books and the laws that you have written?
Well, Nijesh, human life is difficult, and there are challenges and difficulties at every step. It is inevitable that we meet with failure. Now, youngsters, when they are challenged, they very easily fall into disappointment or lack of hope. They feel like giving up. Some even slip into depression. Life is so challenging. So the book reveals to them that whether they realize it or not, this entire creation is not futile. It is designed to make them succeed. And the whole of creation has a wonderful plan for every soul, because every soul is precious. And just because there are difficulties and hardships at present, we should not lose hope. So each law gives a different message. The message of the first one provides is hope. Look, there is immense hope. Be optimistic. Set your aspirations sky high and then move forth. But in general, I think there are two aspects to this. The first is understanding the theory, and the second is implementing it in practice. Now, if the theory doesn't exist with somebody, where is the question of practice? And that is the problem. People don't even have awareness of these laws. So somebody tries to improve. Yes, Swamiji, you know what you said is right. I need to transform myself. And the next day they try, it doesn't work. So they say, I tried what you said, it didn't work, so I'm giving up. You can't go from a sinner to a saint in one day. It is a journey. They take one step and then the second step and the third step and the fourth step, and they keep on adding on. And slowly each step becomes easier and easier. So this creates a momentum in your life. Just like, we all played on the merry-go-round as little children. So first time you're on the ground and you're trying to push it, It is so difficult. You're overcoming the static friction, but then it starts picking up speed. And we are walking alongside with it as we go around. And then we are running until it is so fast enough that we jump onto the merry-go-round. It is going by its own momentum. And when it slows down, you just put one foot down, kick the ground, and again you are back on it. So, similarly, the beginning stages may be difficult, but as we keep progressing and the behavioral momentum picks up, the journey becomes easier and easier. So, like I was saying, get the theoretical knowledge which the book is giving and implement it with some practical tools, which is also described therein. Thank you, Nijesh.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was very well explained. And I'm sure that with this message out, the users and the readers would really know the importance of the seven divine principles that you have written down.
Swamiji, having read the book personally, there are so many different things that you've mentioned. There are verses from the Bhagavad Gita. There are some anecdotes that you've spoken about. There are some stories. There are so many Vedic scriptures that you've referred to. And of course, you bring that humor also into the book, your personal touch. So it must have taken a lot of research and a lot of work to combine the entire book and put things together. Would you like to tell us about the journey of writing the book?
Yes, okay. Well, since you have asked, actually, what happens is it was happening before the pandemic broke out. I used to divide my time 5 months in India and 7 months in USA. So in India, I would travel around various states, meeting people, etc. And then 7 months, I would be traveling around USA. So I would conduct week-long programs in 20 different cities of USA. So every year, people expect that Swamiji comes up with a different series. The one year I was thinking, what should I do? And this brainwave came of the seven divine laws. When I spoke in the first city, I kind of honed the knowledge based on the feedback that people gave. And then the next city, I tweaked it a little further until by the end, it was all on my fingertips. And subsequently, when the pandemic broke out, I was sitting in my ashram in Odisha, twiddling my thumbs. So I decided that the best use of this time is to put down that knowledge in the form of a book, and that is how it got created.
Swamiji, must say that this is the first time I'm reading something like this, as we were speaking earlier. And to me personally, it felt so enlightening that I would really want to take up these laws and practice it in my day-to-day life. And most importantly,
I
am I
think
audible?
we're just, yeah, now you're audible. We lost you in the middle, Natasha.
I'm so sorry. It must be the network. So, Swamiji, what I was saying is these laws are so simply explained in your book that anybody would want to practice it on a day-to-day basis. It's just a change of thought.
Well, Natasha, thank you for sharing your inspiration. I am so happy to know that you have found this knowledge to be helpful and inspiring. So, I would love for our youngsters to connect with this knowledge. And I am so encouraged to see this happening that when my video editing team tells me that the viewership profile on my channel, the maximum viewers are in the 18 to 24 category, the age 18 to 24, which means our Indian youth are, when they are confronted with challenges, they look for solutions. And look at the amazing thing. People say that this generation is going astray, but they are coming to spirituality to find the answers to the problems that they face. So I am so happy that this knowledge has worked for you, and I do hope and pray that it helps others as well.
Swamiji, you have mentioned in your book about the mindset of individuals, and you have mentioned about the growth mindset versus the mindset which is not really growing. So, can you give us some understanding on the different mindsets that people have and how to inculcate the growth mindset that you have mentioned in the book?
Yes, Nidesh. Studies were done on this difference between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. So, children were interviewed and their mindset was evaluated. Those with the fixed mindset believe that their skills and abilities are given and there is nothing much they can do about it. Those with the growth mindset, their belief tells them that there is great scope for improvement if only they try and strive hard enough. Now, the consequence of this mindset is so tremendous. When children with the fixed mindset were asked, "We will give you problems to solve. Do you want an easy one or do you want a difficult one?" The children with the fixed mindset said, "Give us an easy one. We don't want to fail." Their primary concern was we should not fail. And the children who had been evaluated as having the growth mindset, they said, "Give us the difficult one because we will learn, we will grow, and we will improve." Now imagine, isn't that these are the ones who are going to grow places? Similarly, amongst professionals in organizations, the same tendency is repeated. Those with the fixed mindset, they don't want difficult jobs. They say the job should be, within my comfort zone. I don't want to be embarrassed if my weaknesses get exposed. So they wish to look good. And those with the growth mindset, they welcome challenges in their job. They don't mind if their weaknesses are exposed because for them it's not important what others are thinking about them. It's important how good they are becoming. So success, growth, progress, this is a consequence of growth mindset. Now, the mindset is an internal resource. you know you don't need money for it, you don't need position, you don't need a blessed birth. You just have to change your inner thoughts, your inner beliefs, and your inner values. So anybody can develop the growth mindset within them. It's just a question of bringing the light of knowledge and understanding to themselves and then reaping the benefit of it.
Well, I think very simply you put it across, though it's a very complicated subject, but the simplicity that you have brought in makes a whole lot of difference in terms of the approach that a youngster, for that matter, can take. So, thank you, Swamiji, on the explanation on the growth mindset.
Swamiji, I'm sure this is a question that's asked you very, very frequently. But you've been an engineer, you studied in IIT and IIM. How did you take up this path of spirituality, or what inspired you to, read our scriptures? Because in today's generation, we're surrounded by so many things that, we actually miss out on reading our own scriptures. So if you would like to tell us what inspired you.
Okay, Natasha, there is a little known secret in organizational psychology. People are more motivated when they find a deeper meaning and purpose in their work than they are motivated by salaries and promotions. So if they truly believe in something, they will be willing to sacrifice their life for it. And that is why it is so important to find a higher purpose to our life. The civil rights leader of USA in the 1960s, Martin Luther King Jr., he put it so nicely. He said, if you have not found a cause for which you are willing to die, your life is not worth living. So rather than just going through the motions of life, I was looking for the purpose of life. Why was I born? Why did I come into this world? And what is my duty in this world? So this search went on through engineering and through MBA. Now, in the MBA syllabus, they were teaching us psychology, economics, sociology, etc. But none of these branches of knowledge revealed to me the big questions in my life. Who am I? And why did this world get created? And what is the purpose of life? And this search took me to our ancient books of wisdom. So there it started. The cobwebs in the brain started clearing up. And I discovered that the most wonderful manual for life is the Bhagavad Gita itself, which is 5,000 years old. And yet those truths are so relevant today. They refuse to become outdated. So it was like a love, an immense love that awoke. And I would read these books every day and then I would practice them. So my classmates thought he has gone crazy. Now I imagine a modern management campus and one guy who was like normal, like everybody else. And in those days, I used to do sadhana in my own way. So I would take a japamala and walk around the campus. They thought, "Ye to pagal ho gaya hai." But that continued that call. So finally, I did work in the corporate world, but I did not find the satisfaction in it. I said, if I have to dedicate my time and energy rather than serve the Tatas, why not serve the Supreme Himself? It will be good for me and it will provide me an opportunity to serve the others as well. That's why I took this step.
Wow.
Swamiji, very inspiring, from a management student, and that too from the Ivy Leagues of the IIT and the IIMs to spirituality. It's definitely gives a path to a lot of us to think beyond the normal corporate life. It's very inspiring. So thank you for sharing your story. When I was reading the book, I was particularly, inspired by an example that you gave, example of Ramdas Manji's, the Rolls Royce example. And I was taken aback with, that kind of an example and the moral behind it. So Swamiji, if you could just explain to the viewers the example that you've written in the book and the morale behind it.
Okay. Nidesh, since you have asked, the story goes like this that there was a very ordinary villager in a tribal region of Jharkhand. And he was taken on excursion by the government. He went to Kolkata where he participated in the races. And lo behold, he won a Rolls Royce in the race. So now, when he came back to his little Adivasi village, he was the owner of a Rolls Royce. He was very proud of this new car of his, and he would drive it through the main street of his village. While sitting on the car as he went through, because he was so friendly in nature and so gregarious, He would meet people, turn to the left, speak to them, turn to the right, speak to them, and sometimes turn all the way around to greet his friends. But despite all this, he never had an accident. Somebody may say, why did he not have an accident? The reason is simple. He never turned on the ignition switch of the engine. He had two horses that were pulling his car from the front. He didn't realize that there was a 98 horsepower engine fitted into the Rolls Royce. Now, without awareness of it, he had two horses pulling it from the outside. So the message here is very much like that Ramdas Maji. In our lack of awareness, we think of ourselves as a bag of blood, pus, stool, urine, mucus, bones, and flesh called this body. So the first piece of knowledge is awareness of the real self. We are not bodies, we are not matter. We are divine souls, and that soul is a fragment of the Supreme. So when we understand that I am divine, then we don't need to compromise with our present state. It opens up the vistas of our imagination to what potential we have. And if we condition ourselves with this thinking, I am only the body, we limit ourselves. So, in that context, I've given another story. This is of the egg of an eagle. Egg was taken from the nest and placed amidst the hens. So the baby eagle got hatched amidst the hens, and it grew up with those hens. So just as the hens would cluck and cackle, the baby eagle learned to do that. As they would flutter around on the ground, the baby eagle also did that. It was born to rule the skies, but it was conditioned to roam around on the ground. One day, that eagle saw a majestic bird in the skies, and it said, wow, what is that wonderful creature? The hen said, that is an eagle. It is the king of the birds. What it can do, you and I cannot do. So this baby eagle accepted what the hens had said. And that was the pity. It was born to be the king of the skies, but conditioned to live crippled on the earth. So, this imagination of ours is so powerful if we use it rightly, and it is so debilitating if we cripple it with wrong beliefs. And that belief I have expressed through the story is of the true nature of the self as distinct from the body.
Wow, I think this examples truly define the law of infinite potential, the first law that you have mentioned in the book, and it's very inspiring again.
Thank you,
Swamiji,
Vidya.
I think most of us are really materialistic in today's times. We're looking at happiness in many materialistic things. So, can you tell us about what Satchitanand is and how do we seek happiness that our soul really wants?
Yes, Natasha, the universal common desire of all humankind is the search for happiness. And everything we do is in pursuit of happiness. But there is one kind of happiness that seems to be joyous in the present. And in the long run, it turns sour and gives us so much of misery. Like, for example, having eaten a full dinner, when a person wants to enjoy the chocolate chip ice cream, a big helping of it, Naturally, it gives pleasure to the senses. But when it results in an increase in weight and cholesterol, etc., then the person says, "Oh my God, what did I get into?" This is one kind of happiness. And there is another kind of happiness, which is giving us, which seems bitter at present, but later on it turns into sheer ambrosia. So we have to learn to choose the right kind of happiness. And that is the mistake people are making. They are not understanding where will they get the bliss they are seeking. Now, the concept of Satchidanand is this: the kind of bliss that will satisfy us is such that it must be infinite. If it is finite, we will still remain discontented. One person is a politician, he works hard and becomes deputy chief minister. Ah, he's happy. I've got that gaddi. But then he looks at the chief minister and he says, "Oh my God, until I become chief minister, I cannot be happy." And the chief minister is told by his chelas that, "Look, you should be the prime minister." So he thinks, "Until I become prime minister, I can never be happy." In the same way, the Lakpati wants to be Arabpati, the Karodpati wishes to be Arabpati. Whenever there is a category of happiness higher than ours, again the discontentment arises. The Chandogya Upanishad states, "Navalpe sukhamasti." That sukh, which is finite, is not true anand or bliss. So, what is anand? Yo vai bhuma, which is infinite in extent. And the second is chit. Chit means it should remain ever fresh. So, ever fresh means what? Like, for example, a new movie is released by Bollywood and people are so excited, "I'll go and see it." So, the first time they see it, it gives them a kick. Then their friend comes and says, "Yeah, this new movie is released. I also want to see it. Come, accompany me." So, okay, I'll go a second time, but there's no longer a kick they are getting from it. And the third time, a relative says, "Come on, just accompany me for the movie." He says, "Look, give me any other punishment, but don't force me to see the same movie a third time."
Yeah.
This is the nature of worldly happiness. It is keeping on decreasing. So, the happiness we want should be ever fresh and it should always remain. So, that happiness, which is permanent, ever fresh, and infinite, is Sat, Chit, and Anand. Now, in the book, I have explained this kind of happiness is actually in Satchidanand. We all know who is Satchidanand, the one supreme divine entity. So, if you truly want to be happy, you will get it by going close to that one entity. And how will you go close? By purifying your mind. So, the way to happiness is so simple. People are running on the outside, and happiness is in the inside. You become a better person, you become happier. You want to be even happier, become an even better person. People say, "Oh, Swamiji, happiness is so simple." Right. So Saint Kabir said, "Pani bich meen piyasi, mohi suni suni avatahasi." This fish is in the water and it is saying, "Water, water, water." How surprising. So happiness is inside us and we are running here and there like that Kasturi deer. So, if only we can understand, then we will prioritize self improvement above other things.
Swamiji, that was very inspiring. Truly, I feel like this is something that is life changing. It's just our thought process and the way we look at things. So, thank you so much for such an insightful, your insightful knowledge that you're sharing with us.
Well, Natasha, this is divine knowledge. I'm like a postman. You know, the postman delivers somebody else's letter, so that divine knowledge, I'm like a postman delivering it.
Swamiji, in the book, you've also mentioned about ironic press theory. Um, can you explain to us why do we suffer from ironic press theory, and how do we eliminate that?
So, there was a Western researcher called Daniel Wegner. He came up with this ironic theory of ironic effects. He said the more you try not to think of something, the more it impinges on you. So if a waiter is going with this thought that I must not spill the tea on this customer, there's a good chance that he will end up spilling the tea right there. Or you go to for a conversation with a friend or at an interview, I must not say this, and you end up blurting it out. So, in the same way, we think, I need to sleep at night. I should not remain awake. And the more we decide I should not remain awake, the more awake we become. So, we have all experienced this ironic effect. I want to give up hatred towards somebody, and I find it's only increasing. And then he analyzed, why does this happen? So he said, when we decide, I must not think like this, the brain, one portion of it becomes the operator. Don't think this thought. And the other portion of the brain becomes the monitor. Am I thinking this thought? Now, just in case the operator is weak and the monitor is strong, so the monitor is keeping on impinging. Am I thinking like this? Am I thinking like this? And the consequence is that very thought will impinge. So, studies were done where student groups were divided into two. And one group was told, don't think of a white bear. And the other group was said, think whatever you like. And after 24 hours, they were asked, how many times did you think of a white bear? So the first group, which had been told, don't think of it, had thought of it more than the other group. So similarly, the our infirmities of our mind, anger, greed, etc., which we want to get rid of. And we say, okay, I should not think like this. And then we realize we are thinking of it even more. So, in that law of sublimation of effects, I have explained that there is a better way of doing it. And the better way is not to stop the thinking process, but to divert it in a proper direction. Like if you are cycling and you press the brakes, it's an unstable situation. You will either fall to the left or to the right. And instead, if you turn the handle, it will turn around very quickly. So, if we want to improve our mind, you divert your desires to a higher thing. Desire, but the good things. Divert your attachment to the wonderful, to the sublime. Divert your greed. Become greedy for knowledge. Become greedy for true love. Become greedy for the opportunity to serve. So these things, anger, greed, hatred, desire, which are the enemies sitting inside us, they will be transformed into our friends. Thank you, Nidesh.
Wow, I think it's all your answers are so simple at the same time, so enlightening that it easily fits into the mind, and the examples that you give makes the matter more simple, and the adoption to the new process of thinking happens much quicker. So it's beautiful the way you're putting things across, and getting us also enlightened with the entire journey that you're part of.
Well, Nidesh, as being a communicator since the last almost 4 decades, uh, people are able to grasp knowledge and internalize it when that knowledge is explained to them through logic, through real life examples, through quotations from the books of wisdom and the great personalities. So I try and utilize all of these in the points that are made.
Swamiji, I think with everything that you're sharing with us, I think most of us do not want to put the book down. We just want to continue reading more and more about what you've said. I would like to take one last question from my side before moving on to the audience questions, because our inbox is flooded with so many things that all our viewers want to ask you. Swamiji, in the chapter about the law of incremental growth, you've written something really beautiful. Between birth and death lies our choices. So, how do we know in a situation that we're making a right choice? In any situation with our given mindset, sometimes we feel like the wrong option is the right choice for us. So, is there a way to distinguish between the right and the wrong while making choices?
Yes, Natasha, uh, at every moment, life is presenting us with choices. And every choice we make veers our life one little bit. One choice leads to the other, to the other, to the other. And very often, slowly, person realizes that he is crippled by a vice, by an addiction. So the person who is a drunkard, if you ask him the first day when he took that peg, did he ever realize that he would be a drunkard? He'd say, no, 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 I never thought of it. But one little choice led to such big consequences. That is how the journey of life is. It presents us with the freedom to choose. Now, the choices we made in the past resulted in bringing us to where we are in life. And today again, we have choices. The way we execute them will determine where we will be 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So, the ability to choose properly is so important. And your question is how to make good choices. So, the answer to this is the more quality knowledge you have, the better the choices you can make. Just like if somebody is dealing in property matters, the more he and she is aware of such property matters, the better decisions she can take. Similarly, it is with life. The more wisdom we gather, that wisdom comes handy when it is the point of making a choice. And that is the reason why we must keep on trying to upgrade our knowledge. Not unnecessary knowledge, but relevant knowledge. So if you wish to be better in publishing, you keep upgrading your publishing knowledge. Similarly, if you wish to be better in life, you upgrade your knowledge of life. All, nowadays there are so many coaches and motivational speakers. They are definitely helping people by giving little bits of wisdom. But the message I would like to convey is there's a huge reservoir of wisdom in our ancient sacred books that the present generation is quite unaware of. And if I can help introduce that ocean of wisdom to them, I will consider my efforts a success. That wisdom, when you have access to it, you can definitely make better choices in your life.
Swamiji, thank you. I think from now onwards, I'm definitely going to keep what you said in mind and make conscious life choices.
Swamiji, you mentioned about the five kleshas in life. If you could throw some light on the five kleshas in life, this you mentioned in the law of mentorship. And if there's some light thrown on this part, it would do a whole lot good to all the ones who are listening.
Okay, Nidesh, that is a little long and elaborate topic. The five kleshas are referred to by Maharishi Patanjali in his Yoga Darshan, which is called the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So he says, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Bhinivesha, Klesha. He says these five kleshas are five defective thought patterns in our intellect, are infirmities in our intellect. Now, nobody wants to hear that. Everybody thinks that I'm intelligent and I'm capable. But Maharishi Patanjali points out that we are suffering from these five defects. And like, for example, just to give you a sample, one of them is asmita. So, asmita is pride. So this pride is a big problem. Three people were sitting in a park and they started trying to impress each other. One said, my face resembles that of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. When people come and look at me, they say, oh, Netaji, you have come back after 70 plus years. So the second said, what's the big deal? My face resembles that of Mahatma Gandhi. So when people look at me, they say, oh, you look like Mahatma himself. The third guy said, these people are trying to move too far ahead. What to do? He said, it's no big deal. My face resembles that of God. Now the other two were subdued. And they said, whoever gave you this misunderstanding that your face resembles that of God? He said, the jailer. This time, when I went to jail for the fourth time, when the jailer looked at me, he said, oh God, you have come again. So he confirmed that I look like God. This is pride. So we don't realize it, but all of us have this pride. Like this, there are five kleshas. And the root of all these kleshas is the first one, which is avidya. So avidya means ignorance. The ignorance because of which we are seeing temporary possessions as permanent. Now, when you go into a hotel for a night, you'll be there for one night. So you don't bother, I need to get the color of the wall changed. It is not to my liking, or the curtain is torn, I need to change. You're here for one night, who cares? You'll be ahead after that. So similarly, one day, we're going to leave everything behind. And yet, we live as if everything is permanent with us. So, this is our ignorance. Okay? So, a little idea of what the kleshas are talking about.
Wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely. It gives a lot of understanding in terms of how to move ahead in life in your thought process. I'm sure that once we dive into all these kleshas, there's a deeper understanding and the deeper meaning that you have put across in your books.
Swamiji, due to the constraint of time, I'm going to limit the questions to three. Though our inbox has again flooded with so many people talking and asking questions, there are so many of them congratulating you on the book. And, for everybody who's written, the only thing that they're saying is these 7 laws are like gems. These are like hidden treasures that people have found. So, again, I would like to take this opportunity to really thank you for giving us your knowledge and for sharing this knowledge with us, which again has the infinite potential for all of us to grow.
Well, Natasha, those are very kind words, and I'd like to thank all the viewers for their kindness, in expressing their appreciation. I personally feel very, very humbled if they have benefited from this knowledge in any way. And I offer my prayers at the feet of the Lord that they may be blessed to find success and happiness in their lives.
Thank you, Swamiji. So quickly, I'll ask you the questions that we've received. So Shreya asks us, how do we combat negativity, stress, and anxiety in life?
Negativity, stress, and anxiety. All right, Shreya. First of all, know that you are not alone. Everybody is suffering from these. And what is the reason for this? The reason is misplaced values. Or I would like to say the reason is a selfish perspective. We are thinking this world is supposed to fulfill my desires. And when it doesn't fulfill my desires, we become disappointed. I wanted to be a billionaire. I'm not a billionaire. I'm so unhappy. Now, if we can reverse this, think of the blessings you have received. These eyes of yours are fitted with 125 million sensors, with the help of which you can enjoy the beauty of the setting sun, the glory of the seven colors of the rainbow, the majesty of the eagle in flight. You have got these ears with the help of which you can hear the rustling leaves in the wind, and the mirth of children in laughter, and the waves of the ocean as they break on the rock. There are millions of reasons for you to be happy. All you need to do is to learn to become aware of the blessings you have received. I like to give this example. So, one geologist had the map of the Ganga and was walking along the river researching. Now he was checking. My map says it should go to the left, it goes to the left. My map says it should go to the right, it goes to the right. In one place, according to the map, the Ganga should have gone straight, but it was veering to the right. The geologist said, "What? The Ganga doesn't follow my map? It's all useless, all futile." He threw the map and went off. What was the mistake he was making? He was expecting the Ganga to follow his map, whereas it should be the other way around. Similarly, we make these desires and then we want the universe to fulfill them. That is the cause of stress. That is the cause of anxiety. That is the cause of negativity. So subdue your desires and think, what can I do to help the universe, to make a difference in the lives of people, to offer through my talents and abilities. And this will develop the attitude of gratitude. That gratitude will be the antidote for negativity.
Swamiji, thank you again, because I'm sure not only Shreya, but so many of us are benefited with this. This is something that we go through on a day-to-day basis, surrounded with peer pressure and so much negativity.
Yes, Natasha. Do you have any more questions from the
Yes,
audience?
Swami. Yes, I'll just take up two more because of the constraint of time. So Ronak asks us, what is the mantra of success in life?
What is the mantra for success in life? All right. Well, can I ask you, Natasha and Nijesh, where are you today in today's interview? Are you in Bangalore? Or?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
Swamiji. From
Yes, we are
Bangalore.
in Bangalore.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is that I believe I visited you all about 1.5 years ago. When a previous book was being launched,
Oh, wow.
that was Seven Mindsets for Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment. So, in that, I had spelled out seven mindsets. But nevertheless, since Ronak has asked one mantra, I would say, Ronak, the first thing you need to do is to define what success is. Because if your definition of success is wrong, then there's no point you run for 50 years and realize that what you were searching for was just mud. So, first of all, define what true success is. Second, get good knowledge. And the third, with self discipline, with inspiration, with determination, you utilize that knowledge to manifest the innate abilities that you have. In short, that is the answer.
Wow. I'll take up another question, Swamiji. We have Hetri asking us a very interesting question. How to become thoughtless?
How to become
Thoughtless.
thoughtless. Now, if I explain to you how to become thoughtless, I will be contradicting what I said a few minutes ago because I talked about the ironic effects theory, right? If
Right.
you try and stop the thinking process, the thoughts come to you more and more strongly. So, when you say you wish to become thoughtless, what does that mean? You don't wish to have sacred thoughts. You don't wish to have thoughts of divine love, thoughts of appreciation and of the grandeur of creation. This thoughtlet state needs to be clarified. It means don't have negative thoughts, don't have debilitating thoughts, don't have selfish and mean thoughts, but good thoughts, noble thoughts. Let them come. There is no harm in them. So, if you wish to become thoughtless in that manner, then do one thing: purify your mind. The mind is the machine that is creating the thoughts. If the mind is impure, you will have impure thoughts which will disturb you. And when the mind gets cleansed, it will create sublime thoughts, which will lift you up to great heights, which will make you inspired, which will enable you to do noble deeds. So figure out the means to purify the mind. And I have given tips for it in the law, in these seven laws, how the mind can be cleansed.
Swamiji, thank you so much for sharing such beautiful knowledge with us. I think we cannot really thank you enough. And it's truly been an honor to share the screen space with you today. I really hope that we can someday discuss your book in person and have a launch, you know. So thank you so much, Swamiji, for your time.
Well, thank you, Natasha, and thank you, Nidesh. You people are doing a wonderful job. All enterprises around the world have gone through difficult times during this lockdown, and I'm sure that you people had difficult times for many, many months. And I'm glad to see that you all are putting in your best efforts to spread good thoughts, good ideas, and good knowledge around the world for the benefit of all humankind.
Well, that's very kind of you, Swamiji. And, like Natasha mentioned, the entire session has had a very calming effect on us, on all the listeners. And you spoke length and breadth of different aspects of life. Though it was in brief, you touched upon everything on the surface. And I'm sure that once the readers get their hands on the book, everything in detail is mentioned and explained. We are very excited to have your session in person whenever you're in Bangalore, and give that space to the readers to meet you in person too.
Definitely, Nijesh. It will be my pleasure to connect with the readers and to personally meet them, understand from them their aspirations and their challenges, and to be a little part in their journey of life.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you so
My
much for
Thank
pleasure.
you
today's.
once again, Swamiji, for the session today. Thank you so much for joining in. Natasha, you would just like to mention the readers and the listeners on the availability of the book.
Yes. So to everybody who's tuned in, this book is available across all Sapna Book House outlets. You can also order it online via sapnaonline.com. So please go grab your copy. Trust me, I think this book has treasure that you will really need in life. So thank you so much, Swamiji, for today's time.
Namaste, Natasha, and namaste, Nijesh.